Well, Scott, let's start by asking you to tell us a little bit more about the Rutter's business, the origins of the business and where you've got to today.
Sure. Rutter's is my family's business. We date back all the way to 1747 with a family farm that was deeded to us from William Penn's grandson. And from that farm, we were able to launch a dairy with my grandfather's generation in 1921, delivering a few quarts of milk, which grew into a very nice dairy business, which today services 5 states in the U.S. And then from that, my father's generation was able to start the convenience store business. And our convenience stores today, we have 62 of them, and they're spread across the state of Pennsylvania. And it's a nice integrated business where we have a real estate company, a fluid dairy, as well as convenience stores, and so it works very, very nicely together. Our name is very well known in our marketplace.
We were talking last night about where the business is today, and I think you said that you've had one of your best years ever, haven't you?
We just finished our best year ever. Yes. We're very thankful for that. It's fascinating how the economics on a macro level versus a micro level sometimes swing different ways. And right now we're certainly believing that because our ticket sales are relatively small compared to somebody buying an automobile or a television set, something of that sort, that people are, they're not concerned nearly as much about that money. And then with the lowering of petroleum pricing, that's put more money in our customers' pockets who would have been spending it in our store anyhow for fuel, and now they have it in their pocket, and we try to get some of that on the way out. We think that's been very good for our business. We like that.
But none of it's by accident, is it, Scott? Because, you've taken the business very strongly in a particular direction, and I'm thinking obviously here of food service. So tell us a bit about your strategy there and why it's working, really.
Sure. Well, first of all, food's in our family's DNA. Because of the agricultural background, the farm background, the dairy background, we like to think that we know food, and we embrace food, internally in our culture. Everybody understands how important food is and the quality of food, food safety, and how it's changing, and how you have to keep changing with customers. And so we're always trying to stay out on the front edge with that and understand the trends from both what are the customers wanting today and how their taste profiles are changing. It's one of the reasons why I like to come to meetings, global forums, to your meetings in London, because not all of these trends are starting in the U.S. as we would have liked to have thought decades ago. Today, most of the trends are starting in some corner pocket of the world, and they move very quickly today with the advent of social media and the idea of how people are moving globally. These food concepts of what we can sell in a store and appeal to a broad base of people, it's really interesting. And the equipment manufacturers have been really good, particularly in the U.S., about developing equipment that can serve a very high quality product, but is focused on the individualization for our customers. And so we can do very small orders and very quickly and service a customer, which in a convenience store environment is what it's all about.
Now I've eaten breakfast, lunch, and probably dinner in your stores, but not everyone watching this will have done that, Scott. So give me a taste of what's on the menu in Rutter's.
Sure. Morning is still our number one food day part. Mornings for our customers are about kickstarting their morning with a caffeine, typically still coffee, but there's certainly some migration over to the energy drinks more and more. So younger generation energy drinks, so they need to kickstart. They're coming to us for that, and then the food portion of it is typically some sort of egg-based product. We have a lot of different egg-based products, and with meats as well. And so you can get all kinds of sandwiches. We can cook you fresh eggs in a wok in front of you, and we'll put that in a bowl on top of things like hash browns. So we can give you anything from a quick candy bar or takeaway bar to a very nice warm breakfast to get you going.
And you have quite a big sit-down area in every store.
We do. We're building bigger and bigger sit-down areas, over 30 seats in our newer stores,
yes.
Because that's an area that our customers have become very acclimated toward. We also, because we have a focus and we recognize the value of the trucking industry as customers, we happen to be in a very good geography for transportation business, and when those truckers come to our facilities, they like to be out of their truck and be able to sit in a seat and eat and relax and do some business. So we find that fits that customer base very well too.
And what about lunchtime in terms of the product offer on the hot food side? Tell us a bit about that.
The lunch is constantly changing. The nice thing is with our NCR point of sale equipment and the touch screens that we have is that we're able to offer just literally billions of options for our menu. And if you came to us for lunch, you could order a couple billion different ways of sandwiches. You can order paninis. We like the idea that you can buy a sandwich and easy get a side with it. And we use the touchscreens to upsell and also to simplify the ordering process for both the customer,
yes,
as well as our folks who are behind the counter making the products. Because if you think about billions of options, you couldn't have a sheet of paper long enough to write down what that customer
So the
wanted.
technology is a crucial part in this solution for you.
It is.
In the kitchen area as well as for the consumer-facing touchscreens as well.
Absolutely, it's been a very important part of our business.
So how does that pull through from the customer's order on the touchscreen to the system, the system behind the counter?
Sure, it's a seamless flow. The customer comes to the touchscreen, makes their selections. We're presenting to them a lot of different options, and when they're finished and complete what they would like, they say complete the order. At that point, the order gets transmitted back to our make table area, and we have several. In a larger store, we probably have 5 different make station areas, and we'll have people working all of those. And so depending upon the items that they ordered, some items will show up at one workstation from that order, and that same order could show up at another workstation, and therefore people are making their product, and then that comes together at a common point where we put the order together in a bag, and then the customer, while they're waiting for the food to be prepared, goes across the store, buys their other products, pays for the full order, and comes back and then presents to our team member that they've paid for the order and it should be ready. So it makes the whole time experience seem much quicker because you're accomplishing a lot of different things while the food prep is going on, rather than standing with your arms crossed watching.
In Europe at the moment, Scott, I mean, one of the big issues for retailers is labour cost. If European retailers are going to follow operators like yourself in the US into more complicated food service, one of the things that scares them is the labour cost of doing that. I mean, does technology play a part in at least reducing that? Because obviously you're still going to be employing more people in the store.
We do, yeah. Well, yeah, labor management is a key in small stores like ours, but yet the labor keeps growing because of the food service side of the business. But that's also a component of why your margins are higher in food service, to help cover your labor costs and your spoilage costs. So you have to be able to embrace the idea that you're going to have labor, but then you're trying to optimize how you do it, and that's where, like our KPS system, our kitchen system, by having stations working, we're able to have people dedicated in what we would consider a manufacturing environment, and they're dedicated in their manufacturing product during the peak times, and then when they're not during the peak time, they're back doing other things, preparation work, cleanup work, and so we're very conscious of that. Our labor costs, we start wages at $10 an hour today in our stores in the U.S., which is a pretty high wage, but you need good people, and so you need to pay them well. Our new stores employ 45, 50 people because we're open 24 hours a day, and so the idea that you can manage your schedules and the information that you get out of your systems in terms of what you're selling and when you're selling it. We do a lot of graphic analysis to be looking at one of our peak points in the day, and that information is fed into our labor management system to then create the labor schedule. So it's been a very interesting way that we've migrated from when I started back in my family's business in a full-time role 25 years ago to where we are today. It's night and day.
So your customer is happy with the product variety and choice. How do you get closer to your customer? I'm thinking here of loyalty. I mean, how do you sort of reward them for being good customers, Scott? I mean, what's the plan there?
Well, we've had a loyalty program for I think 8 years now, and the use of a loyalty card, which is eventually going to go away as the mobile side continues to replace the physical plastic. But right now we still have a very huge base that has a physical card. And when they come into our stores, they use that card to gain rewards for things that they purchase inside the store, as well as for fuel rewards. So it's a combination reward system. So when they do that, that provides us a way to know that they were at our store and to know what they purchased at our store. And then we use the foundation of all of that information, which is just literally billions of transactions again, of what our customers are buying. We take that, data mine that information, and then we're able to talk to customers in a very specific way, because we know that they happen to like mozzarella sticks, or they happen to like onion rings. And if we know that, then we can provide offers to them. And we also run the analytics that says somebody who's buying onion rings typically also buys chicken wings. And if we understand that combination, then we can say, even though they haven't bought chicken wings, we might send them an offer, because a lot of people buy that combination. So it's relevant to that customer.
One of the things that struck me when I looked at your loyalty system, Scott, was ease of use, because talking about the millennials or Generation Z, some of these, if you like, younger people who are they want things to be very, very one click or simple, don't they, in terms of this kind of electronic transactions. So, I mean, the way it's Remember Me, isn't it, your system?
We have a Remember Me solution, which allows the customer to remember up to, I think it's 14 different prior orders. And therefore, what we learned is, and you see this through observation in your stores anyhow, but customers tend to be creatures of habit. So they order the same things day in and day out. Even though we have billions of options, they tend to have a limited number of things that they order. And so this Remember Me was designed to be able to make it so we can remember what they order, so they could walk right in, use their loyalty card. We'd recognize them right away. It pops up their list of prior orders. They choose which one they want, hit the button, and they don't have to do any more selection. So we're trying to make it easier for them from that solution.
So if you look at behind the counter in your stores, Scott, I mean, the kitchen is very sophisticated. You can cook more or less anything in one of your kitchens. I guess to do that well, you need people who really understand food. Where do you recruit from? Is it a different talent pool?
It is. You're right on. You absolutely need people who love food. That's a starting place. Just as on the retail side, if they don't love customers, you're not in a very good starting place either. So, if they love food, then you're off to a good launch. And we search all over for our management. A number of them come up internally because they came in and started at a team member level and have progressed up through the ranks to the manager levels, and they prove that they like food, they understand food preparation. So that's what I would call our internal training system and promotion system to get the right foodies. And then we also recruit outside, and we have a number of our outside people who've come to us through the years from country clubs, sous chefs and restaurants. And they actually have been very good because they have their own little network of friends that they've known through the years. And they then recruit some of their friends, because we're able to offer a better lifestyle for many of those chefs, because they're not working every weekend evening. And so the types of hours of operation that we have tend to be more heavily skewed to the morning operation. And then for folks who have a certain family life, that works very well for them.
Now, you've successfully gone into, extended into hot food and food service, and we've talked through how you've done that in the business. Pennsylvania is different, to other parts of the world. You travel. We're here in sunny South Africa, looking at how they do it here. And Scott, I know you travel around the world and look at your other operations, and I mean, obviously they have there's the same opportunity in most developed markets in terms of going into food service and so on, but is it something that's been easier for you in Pennsylvania than it would be in the UK for another operator, or here in South Africa? Do you think you've had there's a unique opportunity, or do you think this is something that anybody can do provided they get the strategy right?
I think it is something anybody can do. I think it takes an internal commitment from the top to want to do it and want to do it right, but it also takes a lot of learning. And one of the reasons I love to travel the world is that when I go looking at different operators in different parts of the world, I'm always in the mindset that parts of the world have strengths and parts of the world have weaknesses. And so I'm always trying to understand in the travel, where are their strengths and what can I learn about their strengths? And that's really where I focus my study. It's not about their weakness. We all have that. Every operator has their weaknesses. And so that's what we've learned a lot about how to do other parts of our business, such as fresh and vegetables and fruits and things of that sort that we're constantly working on. But in our area of the world, I think we're exceptionally strong in food service with my competition, who's world renowned. And so, and the rationale for that, I think, is because it's based in years ago when the convenience store industry was growing 40 to 60 years ago. You could not sell beer and wine in convenience stores. So alcohol was not an available category. So that was roughly in the neighborhood of 20% of sales. And so that caused a lot of the national chains not to be interested in the market, which provided then for dairy. So a lot of the companies that are very well known in food service, such as a Wawa or Rutters, come from a dairy background, because the dairy saw as an opportunity to sell their dairy products in stores. Nationals were not coming in. And what they did then was they had to then figure out how to supplement the lack of 20% of sales in alcohol with something else. So they used their skill sets through the years to hone how to do food service really well.
So Scott, I mean, it's an exciting industry that gives a lot to those that work in it, doesn't it? And I suppose one of the things that I say to a lot of people who are looking to come into retail is that the convenience industry is a good part of retail to get involved with, isn't it, right now? Because it's growing in almost every country around the world at a very solid rate. I mean, looking at your business and looking back at your career so far, I mean, what would you say to a young person who's in their late teens who's coming into convenience retail? I mean, what advice would you give them if they aspired to become a leader in this industry? I mean, what should they be doing?
I love the industry. I started at the age of 12, so I'm now celebrating 45 years of having been around this business and watching it change. And so I think it's one of those that if you like people, if you don't like people, you don't want to be in the convenience store industry. If you like people and you like fast pace and you like the entrepreneurial spirit, then I think it's a wonderful industry to embrace. And you can embrace it in a lot of different ways, whether it's from the supplier side or the retailer side. But in the retailer side, you can grow stores at a very nice rate, and you can make very good investments. They're very good business investments. So you can have real estate if you like real estate. We do. And then you can have that retail side of your business and grow it in a lot of different ways. Having watched this business through 45 years, I call us the chameleons. We can change colors quicker than anybody else can. And the idea of how we can adjust as entrepreneurs, find new categories, change as government regulation changes, change as customers change. We are what I would call some of the best business people that you'll find around the world. And so if you really want to compete in that area and have fun doing it, I highly recommend people try to get involved. You can start by learning, working for a good company and go out on your own, or you can make a wonderful career staying inside some really good businesses that exist already throughout the world.
Great. Scott, been great talking to you as ever. Thanks very much for spending the time.
Hey, thank you, Dan. Great talking with you.